All right, here we go. Welcome into the Rant. I'm Pugs Moran. We do this every day live from the Kelly Moore Memorial Studios here in the beautiful E-Gallery in Dallas's fantastic design district. We are Radio Misfits Dallas, part of RadioMisfits.com, and my microphone. That's the poltergeist of Kelly. Yeah, it's fucking with my microphone. We had a cabinet fall off on the day that she died. It just fell off the wall. It was brand new. That's her. She always said she would be a poltergeist, and I'm telling you, every little inconvenience that I have now, I'm just going to attribute to her. Like this microphone. You would think after yesterday's microphone debacle that I would have done this before I hit go live, but no, here we are. There we go. That's nice and tight now. Do you like the new flag? Because I'm a better American than you. That's right. I got a flag behind me. So that means everything that I say has to be true because America. This is a talk radio show. We do it every day, Monday through Friday. I've been doing it for 3 years. It's a talk radio show about the world. It's a talk radio show about what's happening today. We focus on today, all the stories that are popping today. We present this as a stream of consciousness, which is just me talking. No breaks, no commercials, no nothing. 2 hours, no problem. It's broken down into 4 categories just so that I can sort of stay on point. Hold on, coughing. That's what I look like when I cough. I didn't think you needed to hear it. 4 quarters. First quarter is something we call antecedently on this day. That's just a look back at the history of this day. I opine on different things that have happened on this day. Quarter 2 is called birthdays. That's where we take a look at people, celebrities, notable quotables, voice. Been having weird voice things. Birthdays, quarter 2, notable quotables. Are they cool or do they suck? That's what we decide in quarter 2. Quarter 3, deads, people who died. Don't have really big selection today. Got to be honest. Don't like to mislead you. I don't want anybody sitting around thinking, I can't wait for the deads today because it ain't great. Which is good. It's good. It's good that today isn't a day that a bunch of big name people die. Quarter 4 is all the hot topics, current events, trends, headlines, whatever it is people are buzzing about. I'm going to give it to you there in quarter 4. Whole show takes about 2 hours. Are you with me? Let's begin. The chat room is a big place here on this show. Big player, the chat room. Let's say hi to some of our friends in the chat room today. Control G. How do I get rid of this? Restream is really trying to get me to adopt their new 2.0 version. I don't want to because I know how to do this version and I don't want to have to learn how to do 2.0. And apparently on October the 31st, Restream is the service that we use to bring this show to you. It presents this beautiful whatever. It's a thing. It's awesome. Don't get me wrong. I'm glad it exists. And I'm certainly grateful that I have access to it and being able to use it in this way. But they're troublemakers. They unnecessarily make things more difficult from time to time so that we, the user, believe that they are actually doing things to improve the service, which they're not. They're just trying to justify the inevitable price increase that they'll be giving in a couple of weeks. But we got a whole new thing. So anyway, Restream is trying to get me to change over to their 2.0. And because of this, they've now installed a banner on the top of my screen that says, on October 31st, your Restream studio will switch to the new 2.0 version. Watch the overview or switch now. And it's just this big banner. So everybody's smaller. So I can't really see the chat room. Look what we got. Hi, Kenny. Kenny saying hello. I'm saying hello right back to you, you son of a bitch. You're looking fabulous today. Peter's here. Peter L., good to see you. Adam is here, as always. Love seeing Adam. Sports Bros, CC. Good to see him. Big Al. Big Al G is hanging out with us. Let me make it bigger so I can say hi to more people. Let's see here. Oh, right back to the beginning. There you go. Peter was first in. Then we had Taron. Hello to everybody in the chat room. Come on, come on. These starts usually, they're around, the closer they are to the top of the hour, the thinner the opening is. The show seems to fill up to maximum capacity about 45 minutes in, which I suppose is fine. Or maybe it's not fine. Maybe that's an indictment on this, the small talk segment and the setup. I don't know. But without the luxury of commercials or music breaks, I really have no in the moment view of what's happening. I'm just streaming, baby. Coughing. I don't know why I'm coughing. I don't have allergies. The allergies are okay. All right, small talk segment. Hey, how about some fun NFL talk? So this morning, I was waiting to see Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers making his weekly appearance on the Pat McAfee show. I didn't get to see it. I was doing other things. Coughing. There you go. See, I'm not going to make you listen to me cough, but you can see my reaction to it. So I was waiting to hear Aaron Rodgers on the Pat McAfee show because Aaron is an idiot and he says stupid stuff all the time. He's like me. He's just stream of consciousness all the time. And I was hoping he would say something interesting about the Robert Saleh situation. Robert Saleh, the Jets' former head coach who was fired yesterday. A lot of inside stuff about that, like stuff that I've been hearing. Like apparently, here's how that went down. Like they had a all hands meeting with like the important executives with the New York Jets, and they decided that they were going to diminish the role. They were going to demote essentially Nathaniel Hackett, who is the Jets offensive coordinator. Nathaniel Hackett is a terrible coach. Just from what I can tell, he's not great. He was the head coach over there in Denver for like 45 minutes, and they got rid of him really quick. And so now he's back with his guy, Aaron Rodgers. Nathaniel Hackett began all of this as the offensive coordinator of the Green Bay Packers with Aaron Rodgers. And before that, Nathaniel Hackett goes back to being Aaron Rodgers' quarterback's coach in Green Bay. So they are best friends. And as soon as Hackett gets blown out in Denver, they fly him into New York. Now, the rumor had been the whole time that Aaron was like, I want Nathaniel to be my head coach. And so Aaron Rodgers and Nathaniel Hackett were always rumored to sort of be not the closest of friends. And it was also rumored that Robert Saleh was more threatened by the presence of Nathaniel Hackett because of his close relationship to Aaron Rodgers than anyone else on the team. So after the loss in London on Sunday, they fly back home. They have a big executive meeting, and they decide that the problem is, of course, Nathaniel Hackett because he sucks. But of course, Aaron Rodgers, he's my buddy, and so Aaron Rodgers doesn't want to hear about Nathaniel Hackett getting demoted. So that meeting apparently took place at 8:30 in the morning, where Nathaniel Hackett was demoted from the offensive coordinator position. By 10 a.m. or by 9 a.m., a half hour later, word had reached Aaron Rodgers that that Nathaniel Hackett was being demoted. This made Aaron Rodgers go nuts, and apparently he went right to the owner, and they're saying that is why Robert Saleh was fired. Look, the Jets, didn't Aaron Rodgers give back like $30 million, $35 million or something to the Jets so that they had money to play with? So, I mean, that's not free money. That is essentially like $35 million that Aaron Rodgers now holds over the ownership group of the New York Jets. So if anyone thinks that there is anyone in charge there other than Woody Johnson, the owner, who does seem to be in charge, but he's taking his football orders from Aaron Rodgers. Jets are cooked, man. Jets are cooked. Anyway, I'm hoping to hear a little bit more about that supposed scenario. And that's why I was listening to McAfee today. Also, another interesting fun fact about football. Yeah, I like football. I like sports. I can do sports talk. I just don't want to do sports talk. It's too limiting. But check this out. So rookie quarterbacks, y'all know that I'm very, very focused on this rookie quarterback class, what with my Chicago Bears having the number 1 overall pick and taking a so-called generational talent in Caleb Williams. Now, I'm very, very pleased with my quarterback. I love my quarterback. I love Caleb Williams, and I love everything that I'm seeing, and all is good and happy in Bear World. But did you know that, so here's an interesting record. You got your Bo Nix. He's starting regularly. He's a rookie quarterback. You got your Caleb Williams in Chicago starting regularly. Jaden Daniels, of course, lighting up the league, looking absolutely incredible there in Washington. With all of these young rookie quarterbacks, they've won more games. This rookie quarterback class has won 10 games quicker than any rookie quarterback class going back to the year 1970. That's pretty good. Now, that is because we're in different times. We didn't until recently start rookie quarterbacks. Rookie quarterbacks were always drafted high and then sat the bench for a year. So that's a little different. And also, there's one also little thing that skews this. I say not since 1970, but that's not technically true. Rookie quarterbacks got to more wins quicker in 1987 than they did in 2024 or in 1970. But we throw that out in 1987 because that was, check this out, here's a fun fact. That was the strike year. That was the year of the strike. Every quarterback in the league was considered a rookie. So every single win of that strike season was a rookie quarterback win. So that's why we throw it out. But yeah, rookie quarterbacks are balling. Is there another rookie quarterback out there that's starting that I'm missing? I don't know. Let's not get delayed. Let's not get that pushed in. That's going to do it for our small talk segment. Peter says he was very disappointed when Aaron Rodgers came to the Jets because they are still one of my lifelong teams, thanks to Joe Namath. Yeah. Ed Silla, he's the president. He says, nice frame. I know. Look at me. Mr. American over here. Mr. Loving this country with my quasi-liberal, progressive, moderate views. Look at me, still loving this country. That's right. Jeff B, my boy, our boy in the cornfields. Jeff B says, conspiracy nut jobs say it's because Salah had a Lebanese flag. Trust me, that's not a problem in New York. Maybe if he was, Kansas City, Jacksonville, it's not a problem in New York. That kind of stuff isn't a problem in New York. But I see what you're saying. I don't know. I haven't heard that conspiracy theories, but then again, I don't seek them out or somehow have them on my timeline. Let's see, what else do we have here? CC says, Sports Bros, he's taking the Aaron Rodgers, Robert Saleh thing back to the didn't want to hug thing that happened on the sideline. Aaron Rodgers came off the field and Robert Saleh went in to give him a hug and Aaron Rodgers pushed him away. And we don't know what was said, and we don't really know what the context of that is. It was explained by Aaron Rodgers in a press conference that, no, it wasn't that I didn't want to hug. It was that his thing is to push away. And I don't know. At the time, we all went, okay, whatever. But now it seems like, no, that was a rejected hug. That was a rejected hug. He should have known. He should have known his days were numbered at that point, Robert Saleh. Aaron Rodgers didn't want to hug me. Aaron Rodgers being given this level of power over the New York Jets is primarily the reason why I say they are absolutely cooked. And they got a big game. They get a game against Buffalo on Monday night, right? And they win that game. I mean, that division, but no, they're cooked. They fired their guy. The team is walking around going, what? Who's the boss? Aaron Rodgers is the boss. And guess what? Aaron Rodgers ain't the Aaron Rodgers of 3 years ago. He's just not. I mean, he missed an entire year with a major injury, okay? So that major injury, he's fine. He could have come back last year. He couldn't have come back last year. Remember that? He's going to come back if they make the playoffs. No. He hasn't come back yet this year. He sucks. He's a 40-year-old man. And it's not, look, a 26-year-old can rebound from an injury like that, but a 40-year-old doesn't rebound the same way from an injury like that. He's cooked. He might, 2 years, if he does the Tom Brady thing, maybe he'll be able to hang on and have some productive seasons. But he is not going to be the Aaron Rodgers that he once was. It's just not. And the Jets have anchored themselves to him. All right. And I like the Jets. I mean, I do. I root for the Jets. I think the Jets are a cool team. Cool history. Cool rep. Cool look. I like everything about the Jets, except this current incarnation with Aaron Rodgers. Hey, bring in Bill Belichick. Then we'll see the fights between Belichick and Rodgers. That's what you got to do. The only guy that isn't going to be just a spit boy for Aaron Rodgers is going to be somebody like Bill Belichick. I'd even be worried about bringing in a guy like Vrabel, like Mike Vrabel, who's like Mr. Tough Guy. He might be Mr. Tough Guy, but he doesn't have the NFL stripes that Aaron Rodgers does. Bill Belichick does. Bill Belichick could tell Aaron to sit down and shut up. He's probably the only one who could. All right, let's get into the show. Let's get started here. What else do we need to say here? Oh, yeah, we'll put this up. There you go. The show runs on your gratuities. For 3 years, we have existed exclusively on your support of this kind of talk radio. Non-political, non-divisive, just regular, normal people talking about regular, normal things. If you're so inclined, if you're so moved, if you think that maybe this is the kind of thing you'd like to see on a continuing basis, drop a little something, if you'd be so kind, into the Venmo or the Cash App. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Barney. I saw Barney just before I went on. I got a little tip from Barney. Barney's our executive producer today. There you go. I'm not going to make a graphic, but thank you, dude. Appreciate you. How kind. All right, let's get started. Today is October the 9th, year of our Lord, 2024. It is the 283rd day of the year. There's 83 more of these until New Year's Eve, so get those New Year's Eve plans started. Let's go into our quarter one. We call it Antecedently on This Day. What it is a look back at all the events that have helped shape our understanding of what this day is. It's this day in history, or, if you will, previously on October the 9th. Here we go. Thank you. Roaring applause for that one. Antecedently on this day in 1812. Whoa, what happened in 1812? There was a war in 1812 that for some reason none of us were ever taught about in school because nobody thought it was important. But there are really cool aspects of the War of 1812, like this. On this day in 1812, a naval engagement, the largest in Great Lakes history, occurs on Lake Erie. American forces capture British ships. The HMS Detroit and the HMS Caledonia are sunk. 1812, we don't ever learn anything about. Look, I grew up in the Great Lakes, okay? I grew up in the Great Lakes region. We like our Great Lakes. They're very cool. They're very big. They're inland seas. Let's stop calling them lakes. You can't see the other side. But naval battles, like 1800s-y naval battles were going on Lake Michigan and Lake Erie and Lake Ontario. That is badass. I would have liked to have learned about that in high school, but alas, they didn't have time to teach us anything about the War of 1812. Antecedently on this day in 1919, the Cincinnati Reds win the World Series, resulting in the Chicago Black Sox scandal. This is some bullshit. It's not bullshit. It's real. It really happened. Chick Gandell was behind it. Arnold Rothstein was the gambler who basically facilitated the whole thing. But they just, Kennesaw Mountain Landis. Look, there was a commission that oversaw baseball until 1919. This commission, after the Black Sox scandal, they decided that baseball needed to change and we needed to get out all of the awful interests because we're growing and we're becoming a big business. So they fired everybody on the commission, and the owners decided to simply have a commissioner for the very first time, a guy named Judge Kennesaw Mountain Landis. Kennesaw Landis, a judge, a hang'em judge. He was not a particularly good guy if you look into his past, but he was, in his retirement, made the commissioner of baseball, and he took no prisoners. He just executed everybody. And by executed, I mean got him out of baseball. Never again. Everybody, 8 players on that 1919 Chicago White Sox, without any real investigation into what they did individually, they were all in one fell swoop kicked out of baseball. Chick Gandell, I believe that he deserved. I believe a number of them deserved it. One person who didn't was Shoeless Joe Jackson. Shoeless Joe Jackson was an illiterate moron who couldn't read, he couldn't write, he signed his contracts with an X, but holy shit, till this day, baseball historians will tell you, he might be the greatest hitter in the history of the game. Shoeless Joe was an amazing ball player, both defensively and offensively. He played in his early, not in the pros or not at the major league level, but he played in his bare feet. That's why he was called Shoeless Joe, and he made acrobatic defensive catches in the outfield that just no one at that time had ever seen before. He was a freaking superstar. It is said that he accepted $5,000 in his part in throwing the World Series. However, one look at his World Series stats, and you'll see that, except for the fact that he's been kicked out of baseball, they are top 5 World Series performance of all time. Shoeless Joe Jackson hit like 400, multiple home runs. He made a bunch of diving catches, no errors. He didn't do anything that looks like he threw the World Series. He took $5,000 in an envelope that somebody left in his hotel room. He was an illiterate dummy. He was like, all right, I'm going to keep this. And then he went out and played his fucking nuts off. Shoeless Joe. That's a really sad story. You want to tell me you want to cry your boo-hoos about Pete Rose? Let me tell you about Shoeless Joe. That was on this day in 1919. On this day in 1967, this a day after Che Guevara, Ernesto Che Guevara, cleared my throat. Ernesto Che Guevara is executed. They killed Che Guevara today. There you go. On this day in 1967, Che Guevara is executed for attempting to incite a revolution in Bolivia. On this day in 1984, the popular children's television show Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends, based on the Railway series by the Reverend Wilbert Awdry, premieres on ITV in England. Thomas the Tank Engine. Here's all I know about that. When that Ringo Starr and George Carlin, who was first? We may never know. Antecedently on this day in 1986, The Phantom of the Opera, eventually the second longest running musical in London, opens at Her Majesty's Theatre. Yesterday, I went nuts on Cats because it was like the anniversary of Cats opening. Apparently, this is like Broadway season. New shows are opening. That's why we're going to have these. So Phantom of the Opera debuted on this day. Yesterday, we took a big shit on Cats. I told you about how that's so stupid. That is so dumb. I went. I saw it. I saw like the legit version of it. It was not great. It was boring. I mean, I can see how like people with no taste, pretentious fools, I can see how they might pretend like it's good, but no, it ain't good. Just, objectively, it's dumb. Phantom of the Opera, I feel the exact same way about. Phantom of the Opera. Feel the same way about Les Mis. Feel the same way about Chicago. Basically, I feel the same way about every musical that has ever been made. With the possible exception of Hamilton. I kind of like Hamilton. I know that was, you get caught up in that. I did. I got caught up in that. I started hearing one song over and over again, and there was this. I worked at this place, and this person liked Hamilton, and they played this song from time to time, and it became a song that I was like, I like the song. I don't even know what it is now. Then I saw it, so I'm like, okay, maybe I'll look at it. Remember when it came on Apple TV or something? I don't know what it was. It came on Netflix. So I watched it, and I was like, I made it about 40 minutes in. I made it a good 40 minutes in before I went, I've seen enough. So it was good. But on this day, Fan of the Opera. That sucks. That's dumb. Stupid, pretentious garbage. On this day in 1986, Fox Broadcasting Company, FBC. Nobody calls it that. Nobody has ever called it FBC. There's ABC, NBC, CBS, and Fox. Nobody has ever called it FBC. FBC launches as the fourth United States television network. That was on this day in 1986. What was the first thing I watched on Fox? I think it was probably, I was all in on Fox. I was a kid. I was 16, 17 years old. I'm like, new network, new attitude, whatever. I don't know. I was dumb. But I was open to new things at 16, 17 years old. So when Fox debuted, I think it was Tracy Ullman. I think it was Tracy Ullman was the first thing. Then I remember a sitcom called Open House. Not The Simpsons. The Simpsons people were like, The Simpsons were the first thing on Fox. No, they weren't. The Simpsons weren't even an original show. The Simpsons were a segment on the Tracy Ullman Show. The Tracy Ullman Show was a show, into commercial breaks, they would show these little weird cartoons of this little yellow family, and that was The Simpsons. And eventually Fox would turn Simpsons into its own show, but they weren't the first. No, it was Tracy Ullman. I don't know, whatever. You had Living Color, 21 Jump Street, Open House, duets. What else did they have? Sorry, I made you listen to that throat clearing. What else did Fox have originally? We'll never know. We will never know. Antecedently on this day in the year 2007, the Dow Jones Industrial Average reaches its all-time high. I was on this day, 2007. It reached its all-time high. They were, oh my God, in 2007, the tech bros and the hedge fund dudes, oh my God. Dude, they'd never had it better. They're like, this is fucking amazing. on this day in 2007. The Dow Jones hits 14,164. 14,000. Oh my God. That's huge. That was unheard of. You're crushing 10. They're going to get to 20 someday. Oh my God, if this keeps up at this pace, we're going to hit 20,000 on the Dow by 2030. It's going to be amazing. That's not what happened. A year later, the bottom fell out. 2008, the mortgage industry crisis and all that stuff. You know why your grandma's living under a bridge now? You know, that whole thing that happened. You know, the thing that destroyed your dad and he ended up taking his life. Yeah, you know that thing that real America went through in 2008. Yeah, that was these guys. That was these guys who just a year earlier were at 14 going, "We are killers. We are titans." And then they lost everything that you and your grandma and your pension funds and all that shit. They lost it all. They lost it all. But don't worry, because they got bailed out. They got made whole again. And if you think they were celebrating 14,000 on the Dow Jones back in 2007, dude, that thing's over 42,000 now. It's over 42,000. Your grandma is living under a bridge. But these guys who basically were the architects of that entire economic explosion that destroyed so much of the middle class and so many retirees, those people, fuck them. No, these guys, now the Dow is over 42. I believe today it's at 42. And on this day in 2007, 14,000 had them going nuts. I'm buying a jet. Well, just sit tight, kiddo, because in a couple of years, 10 years, less than 10 years, now 10, 14 years, 15 years, you'll have a fleet of jets. Unbelievable. Anyway, that's going to do it for Antecedently on this day. Let's talk about birthdays. Happy birthday. It's a sign that the economy is roaring. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not a sign the economy is roaring. It's a sign that the robber barons on Wall Street are back to making money hand over fist again. But no, we aren't. The middle class isn't. And they're the ones that got bailed out. They got bailed out so that they could rebuild their wealth. Not your grandmas, not your aunts, not your dads, not yours maybe. No. Those people who fucked it up, they got made whole again. Have you seen the price of deli meat? Look, all I can tell you is that I can't get quality deli meat anymore because I can't find ham for less than $9 a pound. $9 for a pound of ham? You do realize, look at me, a pound is like 2 sandwiches. Ugh. Buying bar K bologna sandwiches and discount bread. But the Dow Jones is at 42 today, so never forget that. Never forget. Kevin talks about the Chevy Chase talk show. Yeah, the Chevy Chase the Chevy Chase talk show, which was one of the first things to air on Fox. I always like to. I would like to see a couple of episodes of that. I would like to see a couple of episodes because I'm not locked into this belief that it was a fucking disaster. I'm locked into the belief that there was a groundswell of very loud and listened to people who said that it sucked. And then, programming being what programming it is. And here we are all these years later going, that show sucked. I don't know. Let's go back and see it. Chevy Chase doesn't suck. Like, Chevy Chase was probably good at that. And maybe he was doing things. Now, I have heard some stories. Like, I've heard stories about how Chevy wasn't into it. Like, he didn't want to do it, and it was all that. So, I don't know. But I would like to go back and see that again. I'd love to watch an episode of the Chevy Chase show. As a YouTube video, if I could find it. I don't know if you can find those anywhere. What are you going to do? All right, let's keep going here. Antecedently not antecedently. We're doing birthdays. That's right. Birthdays. They say it's their birthday. I have no way of knowing if it's truly their birthday, but we're just going to go with it. These are published reports of birthdays. My God, my throat is just, it's not sore. I'm not in any pain. This isn't going to limit the show. It's just for some reason I keep having to clear my throat. All right, let's do some birthdays. People born on this day. Are they cool or are they not cool? Born on this day in 1940, John Lennon. He's cool. I like John Lennon. Born on this day. Beatle. All right. Very cool guy. I loved him. He was a troll. Super smart. Really kind. Like a really kind dude. Great artist. Like a tremendous creator. But kind, like to the people in his inner circle. He couldn't be kind to everybody because he was John Lennon. You have any idea what it was like being John Lennon? But to the people that were like in his inner circle, he was a really kind dude, really good dude. Bit of a troll outside of that, like, liked fucking with people, enjoyed that, enjoyed getting people mad, enjoyed when people were like, I hate him. He was doing it on purpose. John Lennon, born on this day in 1940. He's cool. Born on this day in 1944, John Entwistle, bass player for The Who. John Entwistle. He's cool. I mean, what do you say about the bass player from The Who? You know, I want me to do 5 minutes on John Entwistle, and then I'll do 5 minutes on John McVie, the bass player from Fleetwood Mac. I don't know. Bass players, they don't get any love. Born on this day in 1948, Jackson Browne. I like Jackson Browne. Are we not supposed to like Jackson Browne? Remember years ago he got accused of knocking around Daryl Hannah? See, I like Jackson Browne. I think Jackson Browne's a great writer. I like his poetry. I like it, and by poetry I mean the lyrics to his songs. He's a beautiful writer, and his music is pretty too. He works. Okay, he just works. He's great. He's a great standalone solo artist. You say to me, "Hey, you want to go see Jackson Browne?" I'll be like, "Yeah, I go see Jackson Browne." He was dating Daryl Hannah like in the late 80s, early 90s. And there started to be, or not started to be, to suggest that they were, but there was a report, there was like a story that he like abused her, like that he knocked her around. It's terrible. That's terrible. I don't know. Do we hold on to that? Because that happened like so long before Me Too. Like that happened in the 90s and we knew it. And he was still allowed to be Jackson Browne. It was not a big problem. And then Me Too happened. Do we retroactively go and get people that may have survived a less harsh time? Like he had nothing really bad happen to him. There was no cancellation in like 1990. And also, I've told my stories about Daryl Hannah. Daryl Hannah. Daryl Hannah. Here's the Hollywood story on Daryl Hannah. How do I say this? She's gorgeous. Like she was gorgeous. And she came from a very sophisticated and wealthy Chicago family. Very wealthy family Daryl Hannah comes from. And she was very beautiful. And she got very, very beautiful. She didn't get good grades. She failed out of all of her schools. She couldn't read until she was like 10. There were all kinds of like behavioral problems and all of that. Daryl Hannah had some issues. A comedian once referred to her, and this is a joke from a comedian, but he once referred to her as the world's most beautiful retarded woman. Okay. And there are stories that she should have received certain diagnoses and certain help and all that stuff when she was younger, but her parents were embarrassed because they were members of society and they couldn't have their beautiful daughter be dubbed autistic or whatever they were going to say about her. So she was shipped off to a boarding school. So they shipped Daryl Hannah off to a boarding school. And she came back looking like Daryl Hannah. She came back like 6'1", blonde, gorgeous, but also very... The story continues with Ron Howard and why he cast the unknown actress Daryl Hannah to play the oblivious mermaid in the film Splash, which would be her breakthrough film. Ron Howard says that he sat down, he met Daryl Hannah for the first time cold. She hadn't done any real acting. She was a model. But somebody said she looks like a mermaid, so they brought her in to meet Ron Howard, and she was just Daryl Hannah. Ron Howard, who had never met Daryl Hannah before, didn't really understand that she was a little bit, flaky, if you will. Kindly, you'd say flaky. And Ron Howard walked out of that meeting, and in his head, on the way to the elevator, he says, I cast her as the mermaid immediately. She already had the character. She already had the oblivion. She already had the wide-eyed. She's basically, she's really like that, is the point. And Ron Howard cast her to play the mermaid because she was so... And then Jackson Browne in the 90s dates her, and he ends up knocking her around. I don't know. Maybe she's frustrating. She's beautiful. And you put up with all of this because she's beautiful. I'm just saying, maybe she's frustrating. And we don't know what the details are. I don't know. I don't know what the details are of Jackson Browne. But even if you like pushed her and went, I'm done with you, and like, got out of the house, I'm not justifying it. I'm just saying there's a good chance that she's frustrating. They're doing construction outside. Hold on, guys. Can you hear that? Yeah, that's terrible. I apologize. A very delicate conversation that I'm having about the mental acuity of Daryl Hannah and what it must be like to have to be around her. And it's funny because people will put up with stuff. People will put up with your eccentricities, your undiagnosed whatever. People will put up with that if you look like Daryl Hannah. She's gorgeous, or at least she was. How loud is that chat room? Tell me. Can we keep going or should we just stop the show? And I'll run out there and I'll be like, what are you guys doing? I mean, if you guys are okay with it, I'm okay with it. I can work through it. It'll just be the loud show. Let me know in the chat room. I'll have a drink. It might just be me. I don't know. Who knows? And here it goes again. It's okay. It's driving me nuts, gotta be honest with you. You barely hear it. Okay, that's what I need to know. If you guys barely hear it, because I hear it. It's really loud. Should have put a sign up if they were going to do jackhammering, All right, very good. Appreciate that. So no worries then. Not a problem. Where were we? Jackson Brown. Robert Wool was born on this day in 1951. Robert Wool, he played Arliss. Man, I don't know how long this is going to go on. Robert Wool played Arliss, and I'm distracted. Also, born on this day in 1952, Sharon Osbourne. What do we think of Sharon? Do we like Sharon Osbourne? I don't think I like Sharon Osbourne. I think when I first came to know who Sharon Osbourne was, I liked her, but now I think overall this time I've become a bit tired of Sharon Osbourne. Born on this day in 1952. Born on this day in 1953, Tony Shalhoub. He's a monk. He was monk, but he was also in Wings. I'm sorry, that noise is just killing me. It's really distracting me from today's show. But that's okay. You got to put up with it. Tony Shalhoub, he's monk. I met him at the Grammys. He was really nice. He's cousins with a guy I worked with, and Kelly, my partner, brought that up. He was sitting down to do an interview with us, and before we started recording, she goes, "Oh, I just want to say that we worked with your cousin," and she said, "Jonathan Brandmeier. He's a DJ in Chicago." And as soon as we said that, he was like, "Oh, you guys are from there?" We're like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh, Tony Shalhoub, awesome! Happy birthday to him. He's monk." Born on this day in 1953. Born on this day in 1954, Scott Bakula. Scott Bakula from Quantum Leap, a show I never watched. Never watched it. I knew it was there. I just, for some reason, it looked stupid. And now all these years later, people are like, that show was great. And I'm like, I never watched it. Looked dumb. Scott Bakula was also in a football movie back then. Was it the football movie where Kathy Ireland was the hot kicker? I don't know. Whatever. Scott Bakula, born on this day in 1954. Born on this day in 1969, and I only mention this guy because he should never be mentioned. I don't know how he's allowed to have this name and be in the film industry. He's an English director, producer, and screenwriter, and he's walking around here with the name Steve McQueen. You ain't the real Steve McQueen, dude. You ain't the real... At least give me a middle issue. Stephen R. McQueen. Give me something like that. Stephen McQueen. Can we do that? Is your name, how is it on your birth certificate? Is it Stephen? But dude, you should not be allowed to walk around Hollywood going, I tangentially work in Hollywood. I mean, I'm not an actor, so I can technically get away with being called Steve McQueen. But if you were to act in one role, no way. No way. The Actors Union would be like, you got to change your name. You can't be listed as Steve McQueen. The Actors Union already has a Steve McQueen, and he will never be replaced. Born on this day in 1969. The false Steve McQueen. Born on this day in 1975. Remember how we opened up? We opened up with John Lennon being born on this day. Happy birthday, John Lennon, born on this day. You know who else was born on this day in the year 1975? Sean Lennon. His kid with Yoko, Sean Lennon. I follow him on Twitter, Sean Lennon. He's kind of funny, but sometimes he gets up on his thing. As he gets up on his little preachy thing. He's a Lennon. What are you going to do? Yoko Ono's his mom. John Lennon's his dad. You got to accept a little bit of that. But other than that, he's pretty funny. He's a pretty funny. I was going to say kid, but he's not a kid. He's almost 50. Sean Lennon. Born on this day in 1975, turns 49 years old today. Born on this day in 1993, George Kittle. George Kittle. You know what we need to do? I got a plan. I love George Kittle. George Kittle is one of the most fun players in the NFL. His attitude, his energy, he just seems like a good, fun dude. But he's playing in a major, major football market. He's basically what I'm trying to say here is George Kittle should be where Travis Kelce is. Travis Kelce is like, the biggest name in sports simply because of his association with Taylor Swift. Sorry. I don't know what to do, man. All right, long story short, let's get who could we hook up George Kittle with? I know he's got a girlfriend. He does a lot of viral stuff, a lot of video stuff. So he's always with his girlfriend. We need to get rid of that girlfriend, and we need to hook George Kittle up with somebody. We need to give him the Travis Kelce treatment. What is Katy Perry doing? Is her brand so diminished that we wouldn't even care? How about Lady Gaga? What's Lady Gaga into these days? Would she date a football player? Could we get George Kittle and Lady Gaga dating? Maybe, I don't know. Michelle Obama? No, she's already taken. Who else could we? Can we maybe get? Oh, how about Kamala Harris's freaky little stepdaughter? Can we get George Kittle dating the freaky little stepdaughter, the Brooklyn chick, who I think on Saturday Night Live, didn't they refer to her as and my stepdaughter, the most Brooklyn kid ever, or what, something like that? She's got bad tattoos and a terrible sense of style, but it's Brooklyn, so it must be what's coming next. Yeah. Anyway, let's do that. Let's get him hooked up. Let's get George Kittle hooked up with Kamala Harris's stepdaughter, and then George Kittle, people will start recognizing what an amazing talent he is. I know people already know that, but he doesn't have the Q factor. The Q factor is the celebrity quotient that Hollywood decides whether you're hot or not. He doesn't have the Q factor. Like right now, you're looking at a guy like Travis Kelce. His Q factor is gone. Your grandma, who's never watched football, knows who Travis Kelce is. Your grandma don't know who George Kittle is, and they should. Happy birthday, George Kittle, born on this day in 1993. Let's talk about the deads. Not a great day for deads. Hold on, got to clear my throat. Not a great day for the deads today. We just got one, and honestly, on a good day for deads where there's a lot of names to choose from, this one might not even make the list. But Jan Hooks died on this day, 2014. Jan Hooks was a member of Saturday Night Live. Not one of my favorite, like 90s Saturday Night Live. When I think of Jan Hooks, I always think of Phil Hartman standing next to her doing something much funnier. I mean, I don't know. Maybe she was a nice person, but she was an actress. And I'm sorry. I got rules, man. I don't know enough about Jan Hooks. Jan Hooks is an actress. She didn't do anything that particularly stood out to me on Saturday Night Live. She died of cancer, though. You know what? We don't put people who die from cancer. Oh, do we? Do we put people what if Hitler died of cancer? Oh my God. You know what? I don't care. This is a one-off, and I'm putting Jan Hooks in heaven because Jan Hooks had a long battle with cancer, and I remember people tributes and all that. So, okay. There you go. We don't put people who died. I don't put people who die from cancer. No, people who we know died from cancer. Because, I may have over time banished people to hell who did in fact die of cancer. I just didn't know that that's what the death was. All right. Let's see here. All right. Should we get into the rest of the stuff that we're going to get into today? And I am sorry about the noise. It's driving me nuts. Let's see here. Adam says he's been married for like a decade. He's talking about George Kittle. Yeah, I know. I know his whoever he's with, it's pretty high profile because I always see him with her. It's a decade. That's fine. So he's been with her a decade. So she knows him as a loser scrounging for gas money. He doesn't want to spend any more time. He's George Kittle. Look, you people, you don't understand. When you are a couple, like if you are a couple and you struggle in the beginning and then you make it, right? Oftentimes, and it's not just the man, it's whoever it is that has made it, whoever it is who is now elevated, that person will want to leave the person they were with. There's none of this bullshit. We're going to stick it out together. And, you put me through medical school and I'm going to reward you and we're going to have kids. That almost rarely happens. And I'll tell you why. Because the person who gets elevated suddenly in their world gets treated differently. The person who gets elevated suddenly has a whole bunch of people in their personal universe who are telling them, you're the best and you're the greatest. And oh my God, these people have only known you at your elevated state. You start to resent the people in your life who remember what a fucking loser you were before you were elevated. And every time you go home and you look at your wife or you look at your girlfriend of 10 years and you're like, yeah, you know what? I had the Playmate of the Year hitting on me last night. I think I'm moving on. You remind me that I'm not this titan that everybody else is building me up in. That's what happens. I'm sorry, folks. That's what happens. Now, there are exceptions, of course. I'm sure your love will survive it, But the world is filled with girls who paid the rent for guitar players and rock bands that they've never seen again in 20 years. And George Kittle's ready for a divorce. That's my point. George Kittle dumps his wife of 10 years and he starts dating Kamala Harris's creepy stepdaughter. I think that's a thing. Let's see here. Kevin argues that Jan Hooks was very funny. He says, I think if you go back and watch Jan Hooks, she was very funny. That's possible. I don't know. I just, nothing stands out from me. I'm trying to think of what. I liked the other woman. I liked the other woman from that era who was tall. I think she's also dead. Tall, short, dark hair. Tall, thin. Nora Dunn. That's it. Nora Dunn. I like her. I didn't like Jan Hooks. And I didn't dislike Jan Hooks. It's just she didn't, Let's see here. Kevin also says, quoting now, there's no basement at the Alamo from Pee-wee. That alone gets her into heaven. Was she in the Pee-wee movie? Well, look, I got her into heaven. We don't have to rehash this. I put her into heaven because I remember it was a cancer battle, and I'm not comfortable putting. Nina says that's an immature guy thing that I just explained to you about how once you get to a higher level, you tend to dust all of the people that were. She points out that is an immature guy thing. It absolutely is. It's also a narcissistic thing and an ego-driven thing. It certainly is. Nina, you are absolutely right. Unfortunately, it happens a lot. There's a lot of immature people out there. All right, let's talk about Israel. Israel is, we're on the brink of war with Israel. We're waiting on Israel to do whatever it is that Israel is going to do. We've been waiting now the better part of a week since Iran attacked Israel. CNN now has a dude in Iran, so that's a change. I'm like, they have people on the roofs in Beirut, and they have people on the roofs in Israel, and all that kind of stuff. But Iran, that's a trickier thing to get your reporters into. Iran's a little bit more, but now CNN's got a guy on the roof in Iran, and he's wearing a helmet, and so they seem to be really ratcheting it up. It's going to start any minute now. Watch it happen at the same time as the hurricane. Watch that. And then the news not know what to deal with. Split screen. Anyway, Israel. We are still the world. I say we, the royal we, the us, the united world, the global community are waiting for the response to Iran from Israel. Expected at any moment. We sit, we wait. All right, now, how about Hurricane Milton? Let's talk about Hurricane Milton because this is a bad mofo. Hurricane Milton is making its way barreling towards Florida's west coast, coming through the Gulf of Mexico. Hurricane Milton, of course, hot on the heels of Hurricane Helene, which ain't nobody mentioned in like 24 hours. Never mind, Helene, all you people. Remember, we felt bad for a bunch of people in Tennessee and North Carolina and all that. Yeah, we're about to just be like, yeah, sorry, next. We now have to shift our attention to feeling really bad for the people of Sarasota, Florida. Sarasota, Florida looks like it's going to take a direct hit. Possibly Tampa Bay, although Tampa Bay has not suffered a direct hit from a hurricane since 1921. And it's part of the reason why when they built up the Bay Area inside Tampa Bay, if you look at it on a map, it's almost like a pocket, an inland pocket, but it's still a bay and it's still the ocean. When they built that, they were like, we don't get hit by hurricanes here for some reason. So now everybody's worried that, oh my God, a direct hit is going to completely ruin downtown Tampa. It is just going to flood it. Hurricane Milton, let's see, we got some live updates. Apparently, it's already spawning tornadoes on the west coast of Florida. It's category 4 now. It was a category 5. It's expected to make land tonight sometime around prime time, sometime between 8 and midnight, they're saying. It depends on if the speed speeds it up or slows it down. Let's see what it says. Hurricane Milton is churning towards Florida's west coast. The Tampa Bay area, home to more than 3.3 million people, is facing the possibility of widespread destruction after avoiding direct hits from major hurricanes for more than a century. 15 Florida counties, home to more than 7.2 million people, are under mandatory evacuation orders. Let's see here. Landfall. Milton is expected to make landfall on the west coast of Florida Wednesday night, late Wednesday night. So late Wednesday night means before midnight. So maybe we'll get some prime time. Oh, they're going to make Anderson Cooper stay late. Is he going to have to stay at the CNN offices until 11 o'clock covering Milton? Will he be there later? Let's see. It's going to make landfall as a Category 3 storm, winds of up to 130 miles an hour. The storm is forecast across central Florida and to dump as much as 18 inches of rain while heading towards the Atlantic Ocean. So the Atlantic, this is not going to turn upward. It's not going to go up the east coast of Florida, ruining Daytona and all that. It's just going to cut right across the midsection of Florida and then just go spin out into the ocean. So maybe that's good, but that part of South Florida is about to take a direct hit. They're about to get their butts handed to them. So keep a good thought for the people down there. Keep a good thought for the brave people who are left behind. There are people who are left behind. There are people who are staying, people who are in crucial jobs. Mama B in the chat room. She's got a granddaughter down there who's an ICU nurse. Got to keep a good thought for her. She's going to stay and help out the people who are too dumb to leave. More on that in a minute. We're going to meet one of those folks. What do we have here? Is this the satellite? Is this a satellite? Yeah, okay. So here's the current satellite. This is what's happening. I got a bunch of fun pictures to show today. Boom. All right. So I guess I don't know what the hell we're looking at here. So this is Florida. This is the west coast of Florida. If you follow my cursor. This is the west coast. This is Tampa, right here. This is Tampa Bay. And this is Sarasota, right here. So this thing is going to just split the difference between the two. All right, what else do we have here? Let's see. The path. Oh, yeah, I already talked about the path, but here you go. This is the path that they're saying that this thing is going to take. It's going to swoop right across the lower testicular region, if you will, of Florida. Testicular Florida. It's going to flow across testicular Florida. The hell are we looking at there? Oh, that's not even big enough. Still so small. All right, never mind. We don't care about that. Anyway, tonight, that's something to watch for. You'll see a bunch of weather guys. The winds are so, pretending like the wind is not. They won't even be pretending. I mean, this is a real storm. But they'll be doing all of those performative things And again, I'll be at home screaming at my TV, go inside. Go inside. There is zero reason for a human being to be standing in the middle of this other than to just perform for an audience, which is, I don't believe, what journalists are supposed to do. You can have a mobile camera or a camera. You can put a camera, a robot camera, you can, whatever you want to call it. Put a camera out there. It can stay even longer than the human. You can put that thing out there, and the human can be inside talking. The human doesn't have to be out there, but go ahead, you put them in harm's way. And I keep waiting for one of these reporters to die, because then maybe someone will go, there is no reason for the reporter to be standing in that weather. There's none. There is none other than it looks good for the audience who might sit through the Lexus and Carnival Cruise commercials. It looks good. It's another one of the reasons why we don't trust media anymore. There is no, never mind. Don't want to get into it. All right, continuing on. What else do we have here? NASA, check this out. So this was cool. I wanted to show this to you. So NASA. Yeah, this is pretty awe-inspiring, quite frankly. This is from the International Space Station. They got some good pictures. They got some good video, if you will, of Hurricane Milton. Check this out. This is badass. Look at the size of this monster. All right, so this thing is from the. That's like the. I guess what this is that what this is? This the eye, I guess. This is cool. You can see like the arm of the International Space Station. This thing is gigantic. That's a big ass storm, man. Gonna make everybody forget about old Helene from a week ago. Sorry, folks in North Carolina. Sorry, Asheville. We're moving on. You thought there was money. You thought there was money needed for you guys. Wait till you see what happens to Sarasota. All right, there you have it. Terrible big storm. What else do we have? Oh, we got this guy. Okay, so I wanted to tell you about some of these dudes are just gonna ride the storm out. Some of these guys are gonna, like this fella. This fellow who lives in a rickety piece of shit boat, seemingly docked somewhere here in Tampa Bay. He's become a bit of a TikTok sensation because everybody's filming him and he's like, leave me alone. I want to describe him as like a homeless crazy guy, but he's got a fucking boat in Tampa Bay Harbor. That is expensive. That is not. This is ridiculous. That is way more than like a $3,000 a month apartment. And it's like he's a homeless guy. Anyway, I don't get it. He's made some choices in his life, and those choices have led to him living in a boat in Tampa. But seriously, this is not, if you live in the Tampa Bay area and you're like, let's get a boat. And the first thing you do is like, let's go and put it in the harbor downtown. Do you have any idea how much that's going to cost you? How much of a premium you pay for that location? It is just, so anyway, here he is. Let's listen to what he's got to say. This is one of them dudes who's going to ride it out because he knows better. And, oh, yeah, and because, Jesus and stuff.
Are you okay? Everybody's worried about you.
Who's worried about?
It's all over TikTok.
Everybody, across the country.
I'm gonna go live in a minute.
Are you gonna be okay?
I'm gonna be fine.
I don't think people realize you're so close to down. I mean, you could just get off if something bad happened. You know what I mean?
I'm not going anywhere because the safest place to be is on a boat in a flood. Okay, we learned that with Noah. Everybody that stayed on land drowned. Noah and the animals lived. So I'm fine.
Do you have any animals?
No, I wish I did.
Okay.
We'll go through this one by one. So he's like, everybody knows, that you're getting some bad information if a dude has to preface his comment with everybody knows, because what he's doing is he's trying to make you feel, because you don't know it. You don't know. He's saying everybody knows it, but you're hearing it for the first time. And he's trying to make it clear that you don't know what you're talking about. And I have more information than you, and I am big. So when I am skeptical whenever anybody says, hey, everybody knows, or people are saying, that kind of thing, that's a con man move. And he's out here going, everybody knows that in a flood, the safest place to be is a boat. And that might be true, although I don't know. I can't really test the science on that. I'm not a big boatsman, but whatever. It sounds like it, no pun intended, holds water. But this ain't a flood. The flood comes next. This is a hurricane. This is a hurricane with swells and all of that shit. So, he's like making dumb guy logic. Like, this is dumb guy logic sense. Everybody knows that if the water came, this is like the guy who thinks, you can, if the plane is crashing, if the plane was crashing, I would just wait till it got like 10 feet off the ground and then I just step off the plane. That guy. It's that kind of logic. It's like, yo, poor kid, you don't understand. You don't know how the world works.
Could use 2 females.
Well, you got all the news crews right here during the storm, so you can just, if you need anything. Everybody's worried about you, buddy.
Everybody's worried about me. Everybody wants me to get off the boat. People don't. Being that I'm tied up to the cleat on the dock there, and it's secured in the concrete, which is secured to all this thing, I have a secured anchor point. I'm tied to the boat. If the tide goes up, I go up. As long as the water stays out of the boat, I'll be fine.
Okay. Now, okay, that's the first true thing maybe that he has said, except he seems to be banking awful hard on the idea that the water is going to stay out of the boat. Once again, he just said, look, I'm tied up to the cleat. I'm good. That's cement. I've got an anchor. I've got a really good grip with the anchor. And, as long as the water stays out of the boat, well, yeah. Yeah. But what if, question guy with all the answers. I got a question. So what happens if the water does get in the boat? Huh? What then?
And the wind is, it's not a state it's secured in the concrete, which is secured to all this thing. I have a secured anchor point. I'm tied to the boat. If the tide goes up, I go up. As long as the water stays out of the boat, I'll be fine. And the wind is, it's not a tornado. It's not going to get lifted up and thrown into Kansas. Okay, it's not like that. I'm not suicidal, but I'm putting it in God's hands.
All right, so first of all, my friend, you don't know what it's going to be because it's a hurricane, okay? Hurricanes do spawn tornadoes. There are already tornado warnings going on the west coast of Florida because of this very thing. So you don't know what it's going to be. Waterspouts, tornado, heavy disruption. It's a hurricane. It's a hurricane with winds, straight line winds over 130 miles per hour. So, he's got it all figured out. Look at him. He's living in a boat down by the river. He's got life all figured out. He knows how all of this shit works. All right, my friend, continue on, please.
And taking it out of mine and man's.
All right.
So I'm sitting tight. I'm going to play it out.
Well, like I said, we're all right up here, so if you need anything, everybody's parked right here, okay?
I love you all, and I thank you for the concern. But I'm not nutty. I'm just doing...
No, you're not nutty. He's not nutty. By the way, I see the who was it in the chat room? Somebody's talking about Gump and Lieutenant Dan, Jeff in the chat room. Yes, Gump and Lieutenant Dan, they wrote out the hurricane. This guy is known on TikTok as Lieutenant Dan. That's his name. That's what he's going by. He's known as Lieutenant Dan, and he's a TikTok sensation. And apparently he's going to be going live. So you best believe that I'll be watching old dumbass Lieutenant Dan try to ride this thing out while streaming inside. I mean, is his internet going to work? He's going to be in the middle of a hurricane. How long does he think the street? I mean, my God, it's white knuckle and cross your fingers on a good day with, internet connecting. He's in a hurricane and he's like, nah, it'll probably be fine. And if not, it's God's will.
What my father told me to do, and I'm doing it, and I'm being me. I don't go with the grain. I'm against the grain because...
Wait, what is that? Hold on. Wait.
Suicidal, but I'm putting it in God's hands and taking it out of mine and man's.
All right.
So I'm sitting tight. I'm going to play it out.
Well, like I said, we're all right up here, so if you need anything, everybody's parked right here, okay?
I love you all, and I thank you for the concern. But I'm not nutty. I'm just doing what my father told me to do, and I'm doing it, and I'm being me. I don't go with the grain. I'm against the grain because it's all just, you're all robots. You're all sheep following the masses. And I'm the black sheep. I'm the one that does what I feel is right. And I don't care what anybody says or wants to do about it. I do what I think is right. And since God found me 10 years ago when I found him, and he's been my right hand all along. He told me to come here, I'm here. And I'm putting my life in his hands. I'm supposed to go home tonight, then I'm going to go home tonight because he's calling me home for nothing to do.
Well, we'll check on you, okay?
Thank
we'll
you.
be up here and we'll check on you.
I appreciate
All right.
it.
Thank you, sir. Stay.
All right. That's all we need from him. He's going to stay there. He's Lieutenant Dan on TikTok. Try and follow him. His dad, he's putting it on his dad. Don't you put that on your dad. I'm just doing what my dad told me to do. He said, always be myself. Dad regrets that. It's okay, little Lieutenant Dan. You just be yourself. You got to be your own man. I'm just being my own man. You mean, Daddy? You mean like riding out a hurricane in 2024? It's now they're mounting on stuff, banging shit. Sorry about that. Yeah, and by the way, he starts making sense. Like for about, I have these conversations with people all the time because of some of the things that I've always sort of said on radio or whatever. I'm not a libertarian, although libertarians think I am. They're like, hey, man, you're basically a libertarian. I'm like, no, I'm not. No, I'm just I just agree with you on a couple of things. And he makes some sense, though. He's like talking about, he's just doing his own thing, man. Everything is a construct. Everything is just people are programmed to do. And I'm like, yeah, now you're making sense. And then he goes and gets nutty again. But it's about God. I met God 10 years ago, and if I go home tonight, wait, this isn't your home? You have a place to go? Did you guys hear when he said that? He's like, I put it in God's hands. Hold on. Put it in God's hands. If I go home tonight, I go home. If not, it's what he's meant for it to be. Dude, you got a home. This is not, you're choosing to be here. Hey, man, people are going to die. People are going to die. And for a lot of them, it's going to be sad. For this guy, it ain't going to be sad. This guy he's going to die. He's going to be one of the numbers that we hear about. And we're going to be like, although probably not. We're going to follow this guy. We're going to see if this dude makes it or not. He's totally gonna make it. See, he's gonna make. We're gonna hear from him tomorrow. We're gonna see him tomorrow. He's totally gonna make it because that's how this world works. He shouldn't. Whole bunch of other people aren't. He will. He'll make it because God. Because God. Oh my God. All right, thank you. By the way, that's Brian Enton. Brian Enton, I think, does News Nation. I think he's a News Nation reporter. Brian Enton is great. Brian Enton does some really entertaining stories. And I don't mean like he does the wacky stories at the end of, no, he's a really good investigative journalist, and he does a lot of dark stuff. Like I first came to appreciate the work of Brian Enton back in the Natalie, was it Natalie? Petito. Remember her? Brian Laundrie. I remember that fucker's name. How come I remember the murderer's name, but I can't remember the name of the girl he killed? Well, Laundrie. That's a weird name, Brian Laundrie. Anyway, that's where I first came to know that Brian Enton. He's good. I follow him. Follow Brian Enton. He's fun. He does good videos. Like that guy. And also you can watch him on News Nation in a suit doing real reporter stuff. Waffle House. Let's talk about the Waffle House Index. Did you know this was a thing? I had heard about this before, but this is the first disaster where the Waffle House Index is going to be not only utilized by those of us with Waffle House apps on our phones, which I do, but also by the government in Florida. Okay, so what is the Waffle House Index? Historically, whenever hurricanes have struck the southeastern United States or the Gulf of Mexico, one of the only businesses that have been able to stay in business and survive the brunt of the hurricane have been Waffle Houses. So people over the time have come to gauge the severity of an area hit by a hurricane by how many Waffle Houses are still open. It's called the Waffle House Index. Well, here, as a matter of fact, I'll just read it to you word for word because it sounds funny and it sounds silly, but it's actually real. And it's a great way to sort of gauge how bad it is. How Waffle House helps Southerners and FEMA. That's it, FEMA, not Florida. FEMA is actually in league now with Waffle House in order to judge a storm's severity. Golden hash browns, gravy smothered biscuits, and crispy waffles with a hearty helping of maple syrup are among the classic Southern comfort foods. But when hurricanes tear through southeastern towns, the hot meals and bold yellow signs of the local Waffle House provide another kind of comfort. So I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I love Waffle House. Love it. My son and I have been known to drive 10, 15 miles out of our way to find a Waffle House when we were on the interstates and had a craving. The Waffle House is like my dream. I want to bring a Waffle House to Chicago. I want to put a Waffle House. Here you go, folks in Chicago, if you know where this is. I want to put a Waffle House at I-80 in Harlem. I want to put it right there. There's a Cracker Barrel. There's a CarMax. There's the World Music Theater. The gigantic outdoor music venue is right there. I want to put a Waffle House. I want the rights to Waffle House expansion. And I want it right there, I-80 in Harlem. Anyway, I love Waffle House. Waffle House it's not even close, the best place to go for breakfast. Their shit looks disgusting and it looks gross, and then you eat it and you're like, holy crap. They're hash browns. But full disclosure, never had a Waffle House waffle. Never had a waffle. Not a big waffle guy. I'm not going to go out. Look, waffles are Eggos, and I make them in my toaster. If I'm going out and I'm going to pay for breakfast, I'm not going to probably get a waffle. I don't care how fancy the made-to-order waffle dude is. It's not a thing. Waffles are not good. I want some eggs. I want some hash browns. I want all kinds of like other fruits and stuff like that. I want sausages. I want bacon. I want all of that. And that is what Waffle House delivers. If a Waffle House, if a Waffle House stays open in town, even in a limited capacity, neighbors are reassured that the coming storm is unlikely to cause devastation. A closed Waffle House location of the dependable diner has come to indicate impending disaster for the area. The metric is known as the Waffle House Index. What might sound like silly logic has become one of the most reliable ways for Southerners and even federal officials to gauge a storm's severity and identify communities most in need of immediate aid. About 24 Waffle House locations remained closed in the Carolinas and the chain's home state of Georgia on Tuesday, nearly 2 weeks after the states were among those battered by Hurricane Helene. Several others in locations near there were open but serving a limited menu. Sorry, I have this creeper cough. As Hurricane Milton closes in on Florida, communities still recovering from Helene, many Waffle House locations along the Gulf Coast, including those in Tampa, Cape Coral, and St. Petersburg, have closed entirely in preparation. So what that should tell you is that, like they say, when a storm is approaching, people in the towns, instead of listening to their weatherman and their meteorologist, they look at what's happening at their local Waffle House. If the local Waffle House is closing up shop and boarding up windows, they know that it's coming and that it's serious. If their local Waffle House, I guess, this is people who stay. They're like, I'm at least as tough as the Waffle House, But if the Waffle House closes, then they know it's serious. And what we're learning here now is that all of the Waffle Houses in the Tampa metro area are closed. They're closed. They're not even going to try and ride it out with a limited menu. What is the Waffle House Index? It says here, the South's favorite disaster authority provides an informal measure of how significantly a storm will affect or has affected a community. A map of the chain's over 1,900 locations, concentrated in the Southeast and the Mid-Atlantic, help residents of storm-prone states assess whether they're likely to lose power, experience severe flooding, or endure other extreme conditions that might cause a resilient restaurant to close its doors. For some, it's a telltale sign of whether they need to evacuate. Boy, look at that, private business being able to do something that I would think the government should be in on. Maybe there could be like a dependable United States government app that our taxpayers pay for, since we're already paying. But no, Waffle House. Waffle House is where we go because their bottom line is money, and they're not going to shut down if they don't necessarily have to. So if they decide that they're going to lose money and shut down, then people of the community go, this is serious. This is a serious one. Okay, let's see. What else do we have here? That's the Waffle House Index. Oh, wait, what is this little blurb that I got here? Oh, hold on. Waffle House's social media share. Oh, this is how you can follow Waffle House on social media and why they're a big follow during storms. Waffle House's social media shares color-coded maps of its restaurant locations in certain regions that will soon be hit or are overcoming storm damage. The Federal Emergency Management Agency also offers some live tracking. Well, it's like, hey, we do that too. Yeah, but you don't have delicious hash browns. Yellow means the restaurant is serving a limited menu, a signal that is pulling power from a generator and might have a low food supply. The area might not have running water or electricity, but there's enough gas to fry up bacon for hungry customers. Okay, so that's what yellow means. Sorry, man, my throat. Let's see. Red means the location is closed. Well, that would make sense. Sign of unsafe operating conditions and severe destruction to the nearby community. All right, so there you have it. Isn't that fun? The Waffle House. We got a comet. You guys like comets in the sky? There's a comet coming, and if you look out in the western sky starting Saturday about an hour after sunset, you should be able to see it. Or if you don't see it then, apparently what? We're going to see it every night? It's going to, what? I don't know how comets work. A rare comet will brighten the night skies starting this weekend. Prepare to spot a rare, bright comet. The space rock is slinging towards Earth from the outer reaches of the solar system and will make its closest pass on Saturday. Should be visible through the end of October in the western skies about an hour after sunset. There you go. So like 8:30. Start looking up. Start like 8:30, 8:40 if you're here in the central time zone. Start looking in the western sky. All right. I don't even know why that story was there. I saw it. I almost skipped over it. And I'm like, well, I don't know. Comets. Let's talk comets. Why not? Boy, oh boy. Again, I'm not sick. This isn't an allergy. Just for some reason, I got this drip that keeps dripping down in the back of my throat, causing me to cough. Google. Let's talk about what's going on in the United States. Our federal agencies, the people who are looking out for you and me, they're thinking about breaking up Google. U.S. considers asking a court to break up Google as it weighs remedies in an antitrust case. The U.S. Department of Justice is considering asking a federal judge to break up Google after its ubiquitous search engine was declared an illegal monopoly, but it is just one of the many possible remedies under review. Okay. Coming after Google. I have to think this one through because just if someone walked up to me and they said, hey, dude, you want to go after Google? I'd be like, yeah, let's go. Let's get them. Let's take them down. Let's kill them. But, that's just me being, spur of the moment. You got to think about what this will do. Google, what is the problem with Google? That their search engine is too good? Is that not? Here we go. Dumb guy breaking this down without any information. Is that the problem, that their search engine is too good? What are we worried about with Google? Are we worried about them collecting our data? Look, I can't be worried about that stuff. I know a lot of you are like, it's the most important issue. And I'm like, yeah, no. How I'm going to pay for, rent is the most important issue. But I'm glad you have the luxury in your life to think these other stupid things are important, but whatever. They're collecting my data. Yeah, duh. Hey, and you know what else? They're going to find a way to film you every minute. Oh, dude, I got news for you. They're filming us every minute of every day. If I went on a killing spree right now, and I wouldn't because I'm not that kind of person, but if I went on a killing spree right now, like let's say I walk out of here and just start killing people, you would see images of me every step along the way. We're all being filmed. There's cameras everywhere. Everybody's got a Ring doorbell now. Every intersection's got a camera. We're all being filmed, okay? If we do something and they need to put the case together against us, they got the film. Does it bother me? No, because I'm never going to do that, okay? They're never going to have to backtrack through, Ring doorbells and shit to put together some big case against me because I've done something awful. But I'm kind of made okay that if someone does do something awful, that they'll be able to get them that way. So I'm not this big. Nobody's looking at my stuff. I don't have anything interesting. I'm not doing anything. Look, isn't that what the Nazis said? Well, they're not coming after me. It's not about that. It's about this is tech shit. I don't understand any of it. I'm using the toys with the full understanding that it might be to my detriment. So I'm just going to keep going. Well, now we're going to break up Google. What is this? Am I going to have to learn a new thing? Are they going to bring Ask Jeeves back? Alta Vista, or suddenly we're going to have like 50 different search engines. Look, I like the world we live in. You know what is good for humanity? Two choices. That's pretty much all we can handle. Two choices, Coke or Pepsi, right? Two choices, Google or Bing. That's it. And I guess we've all kind of made our choice. It's Bing. It's Bing. Anybody? Where's my Bing people? Any of my Bing? I like Bing. I like Bing because it's ironic. And you know what? It does the same fucking thing. It does the same fucking thing. Bing. And it's ironic. I like to say to people, I Binged it. It's funny. They're like, what? What did you do? I'm like, I Binged it. I learned. I Binged. I Binged and I Binged and I Binged. You mean Googled? No, I mean I Binged. I like Bing. So they want to break up Google. I'm out of shit to talk about on that one. I don't know, whatever. Hey, if smarter people than me decide it's important to break up Google, I'm not going to lose one wink of sleep. I remember when they broke up the phone company. I'm old enough to remember that. There used to be one phone company, and then like within months, there's like 1-800-COLLECT. You know, there's like a million different, it was everywhere. And now basically there's like just a couple of phone companies, and AT&T, who was the original phone company that had the monopoly, they still seem to be the biggest. Moving on. What else do we have here? Oh, this is an interesting story. I like these stories. The Supreme Court in Colorado has ruled in favor of a baker who is a bigot. That's right. He's a baker, and he won't make a lesbian trans cake. Remember this story? That's right, folks. Let's go back to 2010 when stories like this were everywhere. Well, here's another one. It's 2024. We got another small business owner who doesn't want to make a gay cake. And all of a sudden, he's being hauled into court, and they're trying to say he's a racist and a bigot because he doesn't want to make a gay cake. I'll read you the story, and then I'll tell you what I think about this. Colorado's Supreme Court on Tuesday dismissed on procedural grounds a lawsuit against a Christian baker who refused to bake a cake for a transgender woman. Justices declined to weigh in on the free speech issue that brought the case national attention. Baker Jack Phillips, Christian baker, let's get it right. Let's make sure that he wears that. That's who he is now. He's Christian baker, Jack Phillips. He was sued by attorney Autumn Scardina. Autumn Scardina. Doesn't that sound like the real life mezzo soprano, what she grew up to be? Like Autumn Scardina. She's got like a law degree and all that, but her dad runs the Buffalo crime family. Christian Baker Jack Phillips was sued by attorney Autumn Scardina in 2017 after his Denver area bakery refused to make a pink cake with blue frosting to celebrate her gender transition. Oh, wait a second. Okay, I'm confused. So Autumn Scardina used to be Anthony Scardina. And I get it. And she's like, I'm turning into, I'm trying to, well, first of all, okay. Autumn Scardina went to the baker, said, make me a cake. I want pink and blue. And he said, no, I'm not going to make that cake. That's a trans cake. Here's my point. Why did he know? Why didn't she? What did she like go in? And was she like, I'm transitioning and I want a cake? And and then he was like, yeah, I don't want to make that cake. And then she's like, what? How dare you not make that cake? And he's like, yeah, I don't want to make that cake. I'm a baker. I don't work for the man. I work for myself. I opened up this Christian bakery. I don't want to make that cake. And she's like, I'm suing you because you're a bigot. And he's like, I don't know what I am, but I know I ain't making that cake. So it gets all the way to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said he ain't making that cake. He doesn't have to make that cake. Why you got to make him make that cake? He's he don't want to make a cake. You told him too much information. If you'd just gone in and said, here's what I want. I want a pink base on the cake, and then I want it to have a blue top. And that's all you, Mr. Christian Baker, need to know about it. Is he good? Like, is it like he makes the best cakes? It's like he uses holy water. I don't know. Is he particularly good, or is this just one of these activist attorneys looking to turn this into a stupid issue that divides us even more? All right, so here's my take on it. Does the transitioning lady have, or the whatever, Scardina, does she have a right to have a transition cake? Sure, she can do it. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm sure there's any. I'm sure that it wasn't like you went to every bakery in Denver and they were all like, "Nope." No, you went to this one and this guy said no, and you decided to turn it into a whole thing. I think that you, Autumn Scardina, I think that you're the jerk in this situation. However, that doesn't absolve Mr. Christian Baker. He's also a jerk. First of all, if you're like, I'm not just a baker, I'm a Christian baker, you're a jerk. Okay? That's like, I'm not just a baker, I'm a MAGA baker. Stop it. You just stop defining yourself singular. You're a baker. That's what you are. Everything else is too much information. Autumn Scardina, she came in and she gave way too much information when she was like, I want a transition and I want a transition cake. She shouldn't have done that. You gave too much information when you're like, I'm a Christian baker. I think that if the Christian baker, Jack Phillips, wants to be known as the guy who is a bigot and isn't going to make cakes for people who are engaged in a lifestyle that he doesn't appreciate, I think that's just fine. That is just fine. And no, the government shouldn't shut him down, and no, the courts shouldn't say, no, he should just be known as the guy in town that doesn't like gay people and let his business thrive or crumble accordingly. But see, here's the problem for a lot of people. A lot of times these kinds of revelations about small business and in the towns that they operate in doesn't affect them at all. Like, yeah, okay, that's fine. Yeah, I'm the guy that doesn't want to make transition cakes. Doesn't affect them at all. And that really upsets the people who are, moral justice warriors who feel like these people, oh, if I was black, wouldn't you make, well, see, that's another thing. Richard Hunter and I, you guys remember Richard Hunter? We got into an argument about this very subject. Not this specific case, but another one of these, won't make a cake for a gay. It's always a baker. It's always a baker, or it's like a family photographer. Those are like the two. But years ago, we got into an argument, and he said to me, he goes, so if a black person walks in and the business owner says that I don't serve black people, you'd be okay with that? And I said, no, I wouldn't be okay with that. We've got a whole constitutional thing that we went through for that. That's completely different. That isn't the same thing. I reject this idea that a dude that just simply doesn't want to make a cake for people who are doing something he doesn't want to be a part of, somehow that guy needs to be run out of business. If it's made public that he's this guy and the community thinks we don't want guys like that to have thriving businesses in this community, they will behave accordingly. The place will go out of business as the place that doesn't like gay people. That is what it's supposed to be. But again, the problem is that those places don't go out of business. People don't fucking care. Now, if you are somebody who is of an alternative lifestyle and all that, you may not want to go to that guy ever again, and you probably shouldn't, okay? But, that's okay. That's his thing. He doesn't work for, this isn't a major corporation that is making millions of cakes for people indiscriminately. This is a single baker, a small business guy, and he didn't want to make you your cake, and that's his right. And that's how I think about it. And I think, honestly, that Autumn Scardina, who is the person who was transitioning, and she's also an attorney, I think Autumn Scardina, I think she's a troublemaker. I think she, independent of the fact that she has transitioned, those are two separate things. Independent of that, she's a troublemaker. Go to another bakery. Go down to the Kroger. Go down to the Kroger or wherever and say, here's what I want. You can do that. You can just go to the grocery store and you can just tell them what you want and they're going to do it. No, she went farming for trouble, and the Colorado Supreme Court said, nope, sorry. All right, I'm going to go look at the chat room because I'm sure Adam's all mad at me. That's one of them Adam stories where he's going to be like, but. I'm like, dude, he doesn't want to make a cake. Why? You can't make people make cakes. You can't. People are allowed to be bigots. They really are. And you're allowed to ignore them, and the rest of us hopefully are allowed to decide that we're going to ostracize them from civilized society. That's how it's supposed to work. And if it doesn't work that way, oh well, I'm still ignoring them. That's all I can do. All I can do is not buy shit from people who are obviously bigots and racists. That's all. I don't want him out of business. I don't think he should be forced out of business. let's see. Mikey D says Pugs, right on, nailed it. Let the market decide. That's just. Adam says, Adam, my adversarial buddy on these issues, says my whole thing is, why would you want to give business to the bigot anyway? All right, Adam and I agree. Yeah, I agree, man. Dude, exactly. Why would you want to give business to the bigot? I mean, here's why. I think that this person was being an activist, which, okay, we do that now. I think this person went specifically to a guy. She probably gave him way too much information, as bait to see what he would say. Probably went in there in some form of transition, it's people are just looking, clicks, hits, lawsuits. I fought the Colorado Supreme Court on this and I won. Read my book. Next, we'll have a woman who transitioned and sued a baker. That's coming up next on Maddow. Or what, that's why people like to be famous. People like to get. Sometimes the chicken is too tasty. I don't know what that's in reference to, but I think it's funny. So thank you, Barney. I think you know what? I think if the bigot baker made like super kick-ass cakes, like really good, like, man, these are the best fucking cakes. I think Barney's right. I think sometimes the chicken is just too tasty. I don't care if the chicken was made by a Nazi. That is good chicken. It will not. Sins of the chef shall not befall the chicken. Is that a line from something that I'm missing? Maybe it is. Deadspin. Here's another one. I love this. Now, this is another lawsuit that we can talk about here. This is the last one was the Colorado Supreme Court. This one is, I believe, the Delaware Supreme Court. Do you guys remember? I'm going to show you the picture of this little guy. Hold on. Excuse him. Let's show you a little picture of this guy. All right, check this little dude out. Boom. Oh, no. Sorry. Try it again. There you go. Boom. Look at that dude. Look at that little dude. He's awesome. He's a little football fan. He's from California. big Kansas City Chiefs fan from California. His family is also Native American, half Native American anyway, his mom is. And a big trip for him, man. Dad and mom packed him up in the car. They drove all the way to Kansas City so that he could attend a Kansas City Chiefs game. This little dude, it was his best day ever. Got on TV. The cameras found him. They made it. They painted his face in traditional Kansas City Chiefs colors. He's wearing the headdress. He's got his jersey. It looks awesome. The team they were playing, the Raiders cheerleaders actually came over to him, brought him down on the field, and posed for a picture that apparently went viral. Because even the Raiders cheerleaders were like, oh my God, he is so cute. Well, I'll tell you somebody who didn't think it was cute. It was a writer at Deadspin, which is a piece of garbage sports blog that it used to be 10 years ago, a pretty interesting read. I'll tell you, it was one of my top go-tos for sports news. It ain't that anymore. It's embarrassing what Deadspin has become. The entire Gawker media scene, which for a very short period of time was good. And then they went down the toilets and then they got sued. And anyway, point is this. So Gawker wrote a story the next day about this racist little kid and how the NFL accepts this kind of offensive and racist stuff at their games. It was a clickbait article being written in a troll-like form from somebody who has absolutely no moral compass, no sense of right and wrong, and who was only interested in people sharing. And by the way, it got a lot of hit. People, so many of you, look at that kid. That kid's parents ought to be thrown in jail. How incredibly offensive this kid. So, kid got death threats. Here, I'm going to read you the story. Anyway, we'll just look at them, and now I'll read you the story, and we'll get you caught up on what's going on here and why it's a good day for the good guys. A Delaware judge has refused to dismiss a defamation lawsuit against sports website Deadspin. Victory for the good guys. So understand that the family of the kid sued Deadspin for defamation, for calling their 7-year-old kid a racist and a bigot. So the family sued Deadspin, and Deadspin is fighting it, and they took it all the way to the Delaware Supreme Court here. Federal, no, what is this? Doesn't even say. Anyway, takes it to the Delaware judge, and the judge is like, no, you guys are assholes. I am not throwing this case out. These people have a case against you, Deadspin. A Delaware judge has refused to dismiss a defamation lawsuit against sports website Deadspin over an article accusing a 9-year-old NFL fan and his family of racism because of his game day attire. The lawsuit was filed by California residents Raul and Shannon, we'll give the last name, Armetta, why not, Armetta, on behalf of themselves and their son Holden. A little Holden, look at him, little 10-year-old Holden, 9-year-old Holden. Holden, who attended a game between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Las Vegas Raiders. According to the lawsuit, Holden referred to in the lawsuit as H.A., that's Holden and then the last name, is a Chiefs fan who also loves his family's Chumash Indian heritage. He wore a Chiefs jersey to the game with his face painted half red and half black and a costume Native American headdress. Holden got the opportunity to pose with Raiders cheerleaders and was also shown briefly during the television broadcast of the game with his red and black face paint visible. An Associated Press photographer also captured an image of Holden showing both sides of the boy's painted face. That's the image we're looking at right now. However, using a screenshot that showed only Holden's face painted black, Deadspin writer Karen Phillips published an article the very next day accusing the boy of being a racist. Here's what they said in Deadspin. Now remember, we're looking at the kid's face. He's got Chiefs colors. He's not making any statement about where you were born on the equator or what. He's not, no pigmentation comments. These are a tradition of painting your face in the colors of the team you're rooting for, and that's what he's doing. But here's what the Deadspin writer, who knew that, who had access to those pictures, but chose for his article to only show the dark side, suggesting to the writer, to the readers, that he went in blackface, that he was doing blackface. Okay, so here's what he says. This is what he said in the Deadspin article. The NFL needs to speak out against Kansas City Chiefs fans in blackface, native headdresses as well. They're doubling up on the racism. Are you going to say anything, Roger Goodell? Are you going to say anything, Roger Goodell? A reference to the NFL commissioner. In the article, Phillips wrote that the boy had found a way to hate black people and Native Americans at the same time. That kid hates. I hate Karen Phillips. Whoever this fucking person is, I hate this person. Because the duplicity is one thing. You can just be a duplicitous person. I know plenty of people who are like that. You just can't trust them. But to use your duplicitous nature in this racially divisive way in 2020, well, it was 2023 when he did it, same, you're a piece of shit. And I hope you never work in journalism again. And I hope that this family takes everything that you are going to even come close to earning over the next 50 years of your career. You fucking race-baiting son of a bitch. Just shows the blackface. Suggests in his writing that this kid was wearing blackface and that his parents were racist. Doesn't even do the legwork to find out who the parents are. No, they're just racists for this. They're not Indian themselves and totally okay with the celebration of native headdress, because that's an argument that you'll get from a lot of Indians. Not all Indians, not all Native Americans, not all Native Americans have a problem with the celebration of Indian culture, Native American culture. Bunch of white people in California do. Bunch of pearl-clutching moral climbers do. I want to stand up for the Native Americans. Fuck you, bitch. Sit down. They've been stood up for. They own casinos, and if they got a problem with something, trust me, they have got K Street lobbyists on speed dial. They can get any issue handled they want. The Native Americans are no longer downtrodden in this country. It's so offensive. Fuck you. Deadspin posted the article on X and generated more than 18,000 comments and a community note. The community note clarifying its falsity. So Deadspin put this on Twitter, And then immediately community notes went, he wasn't wearing blackface. He was wearing the colors of the Chiefs and his family is Native American. They put that note on there on Twitter. And then Deadspin retweeted it again, even with the note, because they know that people are stupid and they won't read the community note and they'll just get all triggered by racist parents at a Chiefs game. Let's kill them. The kid received death threats. The family received death threats from righteous pearl-clutching anti-racists who were just certain that this family was doing something awful because a jerk from Deadspin ginned everybody up. Here's what he says, too. By the way, after he's called out on all of these facts, the writer for Deadspin, Karen Phillips, he says, and here's a quote responding to it, "For the idiots in my mentions who are treating this as some harmless act because the other side of his face was painted red, I could make the argument that it makes it even worse." Oh, why? Because that's red is the stereotype, the pejorative red skin for an Indian person. Yeah, you could make it worse if you were fucking stupid and didn't immediately put those context clues together as, oh, this isn't a step. Those are the team's colors. Oh, he's not. You know, their other color is yellow. Oh my God. Oh my God. What if he had some yellow there too? Now he's offending the Asians. No, he's not. Stop. For the idiots in my mentions who are treating this as some harmless act because the other side of his face was painted red, I could make the argument that makes it even worse. And then he goes on to say, y'all are the ones who hate Mexicans but wear sombreros on Cinco. Well, that's a bit of a leap, don't you think? Just because I wear a sombrero on... Just because a white person wears a sombrero doesn't mean they hate Mexicans. What it means is that they've completely assimilated to the idea that it's a normalized part of our culture. Sombreros aren't like, we're not like, look at me, you fucking, like a white dude at a Chi-Chi's on, Chi-Chi's, God, that's a Midwestern place. A white dude at a Mexican restaurant drinking margaritas on Cinco de Mayo doesn't put the hat on and go, look at me, I'm a fucking stupid Mexican. That's not what it is. It's not putting the sombrero on to make fun of an entire culture of people. No, it's like, check it out. This is like common. We all do this. It's part of their culture. Get me started on the Cinco de Mayo. Don't get me started on the whole Cinco de Mayo. Cinco de Mayo and St. Patrick's Day stuff. I'm an Irishman, not offended in the slightest about St. Patrick's Day. Love it. I love that the whole rest of this country on St. Patrick's Day looks at my people's culture and goes, yeah, man, let's all pretend that we're into that for a day. That's good. That's flattering. That's not exploitation. Same goes for Cinco de Mayo. That's what Cinco de Mayo is. You think the Mexican, I don't know. I got a lot of Mexican friends. Maybe this is why I look at it this way. And I'm here in Texas. Like Mexican American, that culture, that's not, are they victimized? Are we seeing them as victimized? I don't think so, man. I think that we have white gringo Americans, we have completely accepted and welcomed Mexican culture into the fabric of this country. My God, tacos are like the most loved food. It's like, oh, is that it? Is that all they're good for? Food? Well, that's a great place to start. I'll tell you. You want to normalize yourself into a culture and you want to become a part of that culture, food is a good place to start. Just ask the fucking Italians and the Chinese. So, yeah. Anyway, moving back to the Kansas City Chiefs guy, a judge... there is a countersuit going that is seeking to dismiss the case that the family brought against Deadspin, and a judge said, yeah, that's not a thing. This case is moving forward. This family is going to get their pound of flesh, or at least their opportunity. Because bad media. Poor kid. Poor kid. He's like, ugh. Well, whatever. Hopefully Deadspin's going to end up paying for college. And then some. And a first home. And the wedding. Hopefully Deadspin gets rung up well for that kind of bullshit. All right, what else? So let's talk about this. So last night I wanted to mention that this story is going around today, and it just so happens that I watched this yesterday. So it became a story. It debuted last night, and it became a story today. It was trending earlier. There was a new documentary that is posted yesterday on Max, and I watched it last night. It's called Money Electric: The Bitcoin Mystery. Now I don't know much about Bitcoin. I have some Bitcoin. And I'm probably doing the best thing to do with the Bitcoin, and that is just letting it sit there. It's just, I don't know. I wouldn't know. It goes up, it goes down. It's just sitting there, though. So I'm going to leave it alone forever. And then maybe when I'm dead, someone will go, holy shit, he's got untouched Bitcoin since 2024. That only works if I live for another 20 years or something like that. But if I die next week, then who cares? But my point is this. Not a fucking clue what Bitcoin is. Not a clue. Seems very made up to me. Seems like, okay. But since everything is just a construct, everything, the idea that this green piece of paper that's called a dollar bill, the idea that I have that it's worth something, that's just a construct. That's just somebody says it is. And I'm like, okay. So whatever. You want to do it in the digital age? You want to create a new kind of currency? Fine. Bitcoin. So last night on HBO, they debuted the new documentary, Money Electric: The Bitcoin Mystery. It's by the producer, the documentarian who made Q Into the Storm, which I don't know if you've ever seen Q Into the Storm, but it's awesome. It's about QAnon people. It's so good. So I was very interested. You know me, I love the documentary. So I was very interested in whatever this guy's next project was. And it's the story, it's the Bitcoin mystery. Money Electric. What is the Bitcoin mystery? The Bitcoin mystery is apparently, and I didn't even know about this. This is how little I know about Bitcoin. The Bitcoin mystery is that the guy who invented it, nobody knows who he is. Well, he's got a name, Satoshi Matamaksa Makabaka, or something like that. And this dude, Satoshi Makamaka, he's like got 1 million Bitcoin. He started it. He invented it. He's got like 1 million Bitcoin. And apparently his 1 million Bitcoin could be worth like $1 trillion, making him the most powerful and wealthy, except he disappeared. Nobody knows where the hell this guy is, or if he's a guy, or if he's one of the other people who are now the leading people in the Bitcoin movement. Some say, no, this guy's Satoshi. No, this guy's Satoshi. Anyway, I don't know anything about it. I do now, though. I watched it last night. It's very interesting. It's very good. They interview a whole bunch of people and they chase down the story and they tell you the history of Bitcoin and how it works and what blockchain is and what big block versus small block and all of this stuff. They go into it. It's not overwhelming. It didn't push me away. However, I got to be honest, the next morning, I still don't know what the fuck any of that stuff is. Make the block bigger. But why can't we make the block bigger? That's like a big argument. Anyway. So they think they found the Satoshi guy. Okay. So like they're interviewing all of these people. And there's one dude who is believed to be, all right, so here it's, oh, and by the way, a couple of years ago, during the great Bitcoin Civil War, yeah, there was like a big Bitcoin Civil War. Two forces inside Bitcoin. And what is Bitcoin? I don't know. It's a concept. But two of the leading Bitcoin people, they split. They had two different opinions on how to improve Bitcoin commerce, real-time commerce. So here's basically what happened. So people wanted to start using like debit cards with Bitcoin in businesses and all that stuff. But for some reason, Bitcoin would take like 10 minutes per transaction. You go to like the 7-Eleven and you take out your debit card and you swipe it and you're gone. It's blink. It's like that. That's not how crypto was working. It was taking like 10, 15 minutes for people to be able to, get their transaction to go through. Something like that. So because this was expanding and because people were opening up to the idea of Bitcoin and they're like, well, people need to be able to use Bitcoin with a debit card the way they do. It started to become a big issue on how to decrease those lag times. So one group within Bitcoin said, let's just make the blocks bigger, the blocks which make up the blockchain. Let's just make the blocks bigger. And then a whole bunch of Bitcoin purists were like, no way. And it was a big, ugly fight. And then after like 5 years of nobody hearing anything from him, Satoshi reemerged, the creator of Bitcoin, who had disappeared off the face of the earth 5 years earlier, he reemerges only to tell the world that he is siding with the big block people. Or no. Yes. I don't know, whatever. It doesn't matter. I'm getting into the weeds on this, and I'm not selling it. Point is this. Bitcoin's inventor is a mystery, and HBO filmmaker thinks he's found him. The identity of the inventor of Bitcoin might be the internet's most enduring and consequential mystery, especially because that person could personally control a cryptocurrency stash worth tens of billions, possibly even $1 trillion. Now the creator of a new HBO documentary thinks he may have solved the riddle. Cullen Hoback, he's the documentarian. He made the Q movie. He believes that he may have uncovered Satoshi Nakamoto, the alias that Bitcoin's inventor used online in the beginning. So in the beginning of Bitcoin, when it was all starting, it was someone named Satoshi Nakamoto who was doing it. And then he disappeared. After Bitcoin got really big or whatever, it started to catch on, he disappeared. Hoback thinks that rather than a programming expert or a criminal... All right, I don't want to get into it. Anyway, so here's what I think. You need to watch it. They interview a bunch of people. They talk to them. They take you through the whole story. It's a mystery. It's really kind of interesting. It's like, what? That's weird. But also, if you're a logical person, at some point watching this, you're going to go, this is all made up. This is not real. These people are all just counting on all of us going along with this. You're going to have that. You're going to have that sort of moment about Bitcoin and crypto. Doesn't mean you can't get rich on it, but it's obviously just something everybody's agreeing to pretend is real. As long as we all pretend it's real and other people come in and they're pretending it's real, we've created a universe now where this is real. I think it's Peter Todd. I think that's who it is. You can come to your own decisions if you watch it. Again, it's called Money Electric, the Bitcoin Mystery, but there's this kid. He's like 40 now. But at the time of creating, he would have been like a freshman in college. And yeah, I think it's him. They interview him a lot. And a lot of other people think it's him, but you'll see. Anyway, it's really good. If you're interested at all, it's not really going to teach you about Bitcoin. I still need to learn what the concept is. I don't understand it. You can't just be telling me this is all just made up. There needs to be a reason. What is a blockchain? What do you mean mining? What do you mean Bitcoin mining? What are we looking for? I thought there was only 1 million coins. What are we looking for? I have no idea. So I still need to watch other things, but I'll tell you this, I don't think it's going away. I don't think it's going away. I think that every couple of years we've been told that Bitcoin is, and by the way, that's the difference. The cryptocurrency is one thing. That's what all these other nonsense coins, what I guess they referred to in the documentary as shit coins. Like everything's a shit coin. I think they said that maybe like there's an Ethereum coin, whatever that is, that might be real, but everything else is a shit coin that is not going to be worth anything. Bitcoin is sort of the default. I don't know. Whatever. It's interesting, though. It's called Money Electric. It's on Max right now. Story of who is Satoshi, the creator of Bitcoin. So next weekend, saw this story. This was a profile on Foreigner. Do you guys know Foreigner? I've been waiting for a girl like you. Foreigner is going into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I mean, all right. Yeah. I got no pushback on that. You're like, hey, Foreigner's going into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I'm like, all right. Do you think Foreigner deserves to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? My answer would be like, yeah, why not? Well, I don't know. So anyway, I was reading this article about Foreigner and how what I just depicted for you there is essentially the way the whole world feels about Foreigner. Foreigner, all right. That's pretty much it, And Foreigner themselves, they say it's because they're all ugly. They're like, yeah, that was always our problem. We weren't hot. We're ugly. Anyway, it brought me to a bigger article. This weekend is when they're not this weekend, but next week. I believe it's a week from tonight or something. They'll be filming the class of 2024 going into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I wanted to revisit this. I know that we talked about it back in, it says here, February. The class was announced, but I don't know that we're all up on it. I don't know if we remember. So let's talk about the class that is going to be officially inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame next week in Cleveland. Where are they? Let me see here. Who do we got? Where's the list? I had a cool list. Now I can't find the list. Who do we got? Nominees. All right. I think I thought this was a pretty good year, right? All right, here we go. All right. Dateline, New York. I guess that's where they're doing it. Maybe I thought they were doing it in Cleveland. You mean they're not actually doing ceremonies in Cleveland? They're doing it in New York. It's too hard to get people to go to Cleveland. I guess that's what we're learning. People would rather go to New York. I know I'd rather go to New York than Cleveland. Mary J. Blige. Here's the class. Mary J. Blige. Cher. Foreigner. All right. A Tribe Called Quest. Kool in the Gang. Yesterday, it was Robert Kool Bell's birthday yesterday. And Ozzy Osbourne have been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, a class that also includes... Oh, why did you write it like that? Just give me the list. I thought that was all of them. It also includes folk rockers. Not a thing. Not a thing. There's no such thing as folk rockers. It's not a thing. Folk rock. It's not. There's rock and anyway. A list that also includes folk rockers Dave Matthews Band and singer guitarist Peter Frampton. Alexis Corner, John Mayall, and Big Mama Thornton also earned induction this year, while the late Jimmy Buffett, MC5, Dionne Warwick, and Norm. This list sucks. I don't know who these people are. All right, let's focus on the main ones. Here are the main ones. Mary J. Blige, Cher, Foreigner, A Tribe Called Quest, Kool in the Gang, Ozzy Osbourne, Dave Matthews, and Peter Frampton. There you go. Those are the main ones. Let's go through the list. Mary J. Blige, does she belong in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Which I tell you every time this conversation comes up is simply misnamed. And if you don't accept that it's misnamed and you just want to go with the specific of the name of the thing, then no, she does not belong in there. But the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is not, in fact, a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It is a Hall of Fame for popular music in America. That's what it is. What music did we here in America like during this time period? She's not rock and roll. She is pop. She is she's hip hop. And hip hop is its own kind of rock. No, man, the rock genre means something. It means you're tough. And I'm like, yeah, well, that's hip hop too. They've got their edge. They've got their edge over there. So don't act like, rock and roll, man. They don't know how to do it in hip hop. They sit around and have tea parties over there. Fuck you. No, they don't. They're very rock and roll minded over in the hip hop world. So there you go. So I guess that's fine. Foreigner's going in. All right. Right? That's my response. Cool. A Tribe Called Quest. Nope. I love A Tribe Called Quest. I think they're probably the best hip hop group ever. They're not rock and roll. This is not rock and roll. And Tribe Called Quest also wasn't pop. They don't fit the criteria of popular music in America. They are a whole different thing. Give them all the awards when you start talking about hip hop and all of that kind of stuff. But they do not belong. A Tribe Called Quest. Kool in the Gang going into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You're damn right. Kool in the Gang were so big for like 6, 7, 8 years. Yeah, of course. But they're not rock and roll. Okay, again, stupid. Stop thinking it's just the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I know that that's what the sign says, but it is the Museum of Popular Music in America. It's the Record Company Museum. That's what it is. If your record's sold, they're going to figure out a way to get you in there. All right. Kool in the Gang. Ozzy Osbourne, I'm like, what the fuck? How has he not been in there for 20 years? This is stupid. They ought to just not even have the event this year. They ought to just have Ozzy. They ought to just be like, Ozzy, we're going to give you the floor for the full 2 hours. You, no matter how you define what this is, be it just a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame or a Museum of Popular Music in America, you belong here, Ozzy. You are an icon. You're the only one going in this year. Ozzy should go in alone for the snub that he has sustained for the last 20 plus years. How is he not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? That brings us to folk rockers Dave Matthews. That guy. Does he belong in the hall? Well, I mean, I said, it's the record company thing, so maybe there's a case. Were you to place a ballot in front of me, would I have checked the box to vote for Dave Matthews getting into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? I most certainly would not. So lame. I'm sorry. It's like the most consistent social litmus test that I know of. And that is, if you're a big Dave Matthews fan, I'm not going to say the rest. I'm not going to say the rest. If you're a big Dave Matthews fan, I'm probably not going to take any of your cultural suggestions seriously. Like, don't tell me what shows you're watching. You're a big Dave Matthews fan. I don't want to watch that. I can already tell. Don't tell me, this new band, are they any good? Don't bother telling me because you're a Dave Matthews fan. I'm going to judge you. I have a friend in Chicago who is a big Dave Matthews fan. And our other friend all the time says, well, that's what you think, but you're a Dave Matthews fan. That's sort of a way to, and I've stolen that by talking about Dave Matthews in the way that I have here. That is actually should be credited to my friend Brian. My friend Brian is the one who dismisses people if he knows them to be a Dave Matthews fan. Well, that's fine for a Dave Matthews fan. It's like become a slur in our little group that we used to hang out with. Anyway, a lot of it might have to do with the fact that he pooped on a bunch of people on one of our bridges about 20 years ago. So I don't know. And also that his music is just a real beating. Everything Dave Matthews, we were talking about beatdown songs. Every Dave Matthews song is a supreme beatdown. Every Dave Matthews song goes on 3 minutes too long, at minimum 3 minutes too long. It has an instrument that I've never heard before or an instrument that I have heard before but has no place in popular music. And also, he can't sing. He's a donkey. The dude sings like a donkey, Dave Matthews. Also, going into the Hall of Fame this year, Peter Frampton. Frampton Comes Alive. That was big. That was big for like six months when I was like 5. I don't know. It was everywhere. Women liked him. Women thought he was very sexy. I once sat at a bar with him. I sat right next to him. I watched his little English legs dangle off the bar stool. He's very small. He's very small. I pointed out to my friends, look at his little legs. His little Peter Frampton legs. They're just dangling there on the bar stool. All right, Peter Frampton. Yeah, he should go in. He can go in. That's fine. Cece says Dave Matthews are for the people who drink the bong water. Yeah, no, I don't even no. Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying here, though. I don't think people who like Dave Matthews, who are big Dave Matthews fans, are cool enough to get high. I'm sorry, I just don't think they are. I think it has been done a lot of dorks who don't know they're dorks, who try to be cool, a lot of dorks who cosplay as normal, chill people. They seem to like Dave Matthews. And so I don't think they would, they're the ones who hang out with the dudes who are smoking the weed and they're like, man, that stuff looks crazy. And then you're like, hey, dude, you want some? They're like, no, I can't. Nah, that's what a Dave Matthews fan is to me. The people smoking the bong, they don't necessarily like Dave Matthews. They're just, maybe they do. I don't know. Stoners do. Some stoners do like Dave Matthews. But also, when I think of the quintessential diehard Dave Matthews fan, I do not think of a guy that gets high and smokes bong water. Zima. Dave Matthews dudes, they drink Zima or pale ales. Yeah, pale ales. Like really, really stupid beers that taste awful. That are just basically like spoiled bad beer that wouldn't be mass produced, but they figured out a way to sell it to hipsters at a premium, and the hipsters think they're drinking something rare. Yeah, you are drinking something rare. You're drinking shit that would normally be thrown out. That's pretty rare. Here you go. Here's your pint. That'll be $25.40. That's right, 40 cents. Because we're weird about everything in hipster beer world. I mean, I like a Bud Light. I like a Bud Light. I like a Michelob Light. You want to know the fact of the matter? If I'm going to a bar, I say, give me a beer. I get myself a Michelob Ultra. I'm a real fucking man. What do you want to see? You want to be like, I mean, I'm not a good man. I'm good, morally good, but I'm not good at being a man. But I am a man, and I'll drink a Michelob Ultra right in front of your fucking face. I will. I'll fucking drink it. It's cold. It's like water. Glug, glug, glug. Come on, man, have a pint of this new Belgianese ale. Nope. No, that's awful. I'll take another Michelob Ultra. We're out of Michelob Ultra. Cool. I'll take one of the Three Amigos. I will take a Coors, a Miller Lite, or a Bud Light. That's it. I never did fancy beers. I tried. There was a period of time in like the mid 90s where it was like, let's go to this new brew house and you can get the sampler and you can try all the different beers and all the flavor. That's when I realized the beer sucks. The beer is terrible. Beer is like, this stuff is all bad. And then you go to those places. You know why those places failed? At least the one in Orland Park. It failed because you could only get stupid beer. Like you could only get the stupid beer that they made there, and they didn't make. Every one of those places needs to make a beer that tastes exactly like Miller Lite or Bud Light. They got to. If they don't, people aren't going to go there. People are going to be like, I don't want to go there. All the beer is weird. Adam's a beer guy. Adam seems to have a genuine affinity and curiosity for the hop masters of the world. Adam says, I should have asked for an old style in Chicago, but want to get laughed out of the bar. No, man, old style's a normal beer in Chicago. Why would you get laughed out of the bar ordering an old style? Old style is like the everyday beer in Chicago. Old style light. Go to any construction site and you're going to see old style light cans. You're just knocking wood and cranking old styles and throwing them down. That's not a joke beer, Adam. Yeah. CC says the Dave Matthews fans drink Zima with a Jolly Rancher in it. That's right. Just like a chick. Although, if I'm being honest, that's actually pretty good. Zima with like a green apple. You drop a green apple or a watermelon Jolly Rancher in a Zima and let it dissolve in there. That's pretty good. It's pretty good. Of course, you could just get a flavored Zima or something of the like. But no, that's fine. You can do it yourself if you want. Let's see here. Cece says, I went to a brewery and asked for something similar to a Bud Light and got looked at like I burned a group of elderly people. Yeah, but that's what I always do that too. I go, what do you got? I go, give me your best imitation of like a Bud Light. Give me that. Well, we don't have anything. Well, I think what you'd like is our New York lager. And then they bring you something and you're like, this isn't even in the same fucking zip code as a Bud Light. I don't know what you're doing. Everybody's got to have a habit, right? That's fine. I'm not saying that we need to like kill all the people and round them up who like, weird beers. It's not what I'm saying at all. I think you people should be allowed to exist. I just don't think that I'm going to be I'm not going to your restaurants or bars. If I can't get one of the Three Amigos or a Michelob Ultra, then, forget about it. Also, a big problem for me here in Dallas when I first moved here was my rule at the time was if I walk in and I'm looking for your whiskey and your Bushmills is prominently displayed above your Jameson, I won't go to that bar anymore. These bars only in Dallas when I first moved here, these bars, first of all, they didn't have Irish whiskey. I'd be like, what kind of Irish whiskey do you have? And when they did, they had Bushmills. And I was like, what? And then Jameson came into the market. And now you go into any bar and you got a good green bottle prominently displayed. But no, it used to just be that Protestant bending the knee Orangeman swill, which is Bushmills. What else are we talking about? Adam says, I would have been called a poser in my Yu Darvish Rangers jersey. Hey, Yu Darvish still out there, man. Fucking farting dust. That's cool. Any of you guys watching baseball? It's safe for me to come back and watch baseball again. I refused to watch baseball all season long. I knew in spring training that my White Sox were going to be an epic train wreck, and I was not going to be a part of it. I was not going to have any memories from this year. That was just a promise that I made to myself. Also, with the Texas Rangers winning the World Series the year before, I realized that my 15-year-old son was in a very precarious position here. The team of his community has just won the World Series, yet the team that I've been brainwashing him into liking is on the precipice of doing the exact opposite, setting the all-time record. So we ignored baseball this year. It was a team effort, me and my son. I don't even know who's on the team anymore. They traded a bunch of people. I will check back in next year in spring training to see what we got. But yeah, no, I was done for this year. I knew what was going to happen. So it's postseason and I'm back to watching baseball. And I got to tell you, are you guys watching the Padres-Dodgers series, man? Come on, man. Put that in my veins. What is going on between the Los Angeles Dodgers and the San Diego Padres? Woo! That's baseball. That's like old-time blood feud baseball. These two cities, well, we've known this for about 5 years. They've been at each other's throats, but somehow, some way, it is all coming to a boil this year. This year, the year that the Dodgers, they think they're just going to walk their way into a World Series. They got their Shohei, they got Mookie, they got it all out there. Oh, man, not the Padres. Manny Machado is not going to just lie down. Manny Machado's an asshole. Manny Machado is a terrible, terrible jerk of an arrogant guy. Having said all of that, he's still a superstar. That dude, man, if he wasn't so hated and if he wasn't such a jerk off, I think that he would be better known as one of the best players in the game. Manny Machado is legit. Anyway, I'm really enjoying that. I'm really enjoying the Padres Dodgers. 2-1 now. Padres. I'm very excited. Adam says, I'm loving the postseason, especially now that the Astros are out. Yeah, isn't that nice? And it's nice to not have the Astros around. Although we got the Yankees back, which I'm a Yankee fan, so on some level, I'm like, that's kind of cool. But I understand that like everybody else hates the Yankees, and that's not good. Astros gone, Yankees back. Who else do I like? Mets. Mets are fun. The Mets are fun. The Mets are fun to root for. Mets Phillies. That's another series. That's going wild. Sports Bras says pure hate between the Dodgers and the Padres, and the fans are fighting in the stands. It is nuts. It is pure hate. It is ugly going on between the players on the field staring each other down. Well. The postseason is definitely worth it. I'm happy to be watching baseball again. All right, guys, that's going to do it. We're done. We are out of show for today. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Once again, I'd like to remind you, if you support this kind of talk radio, the kind of talk radio that doesn't rely on any specific political partisanship or any kind of vote for me and vote like me and you vote the wrong way. None of that bullshit. We just talk. Just talk like normal people about normal things. We call each other's names. Sometimes we pick on each other and then we hug and we move on, like good, normal people do. So if you are so inclined to help support that kind of radio, the kind of radio that is no longer allowed on terrestrial, drop a little something down below. The show does exist on your tips and gratuities. Venmo or Cash App are the preferred forms, but we will also accept gold bricks delivered directly to the E-Gallery here in beautiful Dallas, Texas. That's gonna do it. Do you like my new flag? I love my new flag. I love the framed flag. I think that's a real solid thing there. Okay, that's gonna do it. We love you guys. We'll see you again tomorrow. Okay, bye.